You throw over $1,000 a month into local wishing wells.
Of course, you idiot, because I'm wishing for more money.
This is the Keeping Your Money Show with Jamie Westenbarger and Bart Steinler.
All right, welcome back to Keeping Your Money Show. Jamie Westenbarger joined as always by Bart Steinler. Just tuning in, we were talking about regulation in New York, making life insurance easier to understand, that we think is a great idea. So Michigan representatives, if you're listening and you'd like some feedback, by all means, please give me a call. I'd love to tell you what I think it should say. Because in case you didn't notice, I have opinions. Why did everyone in the studio laugh when I said that? We also...
Maybe this is their first time listening to the show. Right. They didn't know that.
We also discussed the difference between financial planning and retirement planning. If you ever want to reach out to the show, you're welcome to do so. Our toll-free number is 888-98-MONEY. That's 888-986-6639. We don't take any calls on the air, but somebody does answer the phone 24 hours a day. You can also email me. That email address is info, I-N-F-O, at keepingyourmoney.com. So before we go much further, I feel like it's important for me to announce that I am not running for president, because it seems like pretty much everyone else is. So I just wanted to clear up, any trepidation anyone had, any concerns. I am not running for president, so you do not have to worry about that.
See, here at the Keeping Your Money Show, we try to be different than everybody else who is out there.
Right.
And everybody
by
else,
not running for president, we're doing that.
We put together an exploratory committee, and we did some polling, and we said, how can we differentiate ourselves from everybody else who is out there? And we came up with the fact that we are not going to run for president. And the other reason we're not running for president, you know what that is? Jamie and I could not decide which one would be president and which one would be vice president.
Right.
And we decided, instead of fighting over it and ruining this great business partnership and
Just
friendship that we have,
on.
we're just going to pass on the whole deal.
It's a good idea, Bart. USA Today printed an article the other day, 4 big mistakes you make when hiring a financial advisor. And I thought this was good, because I will say, there are plenty of times people come in for a second opinion, which you're welcome to do. We always do second opinions for people. There are plenty of times they come in where they're working with somebody good. There's good financial advisors out there besides ourselves. We employ some of them, but some of them work other places for now. Call me if you need a better place to work. But, they'll come in. They have a well-designed plan. You can tell that they're being well taken care of. Their investments line up with their objectives and their risk tolerances. There are other times people come in, and sometimes I feel like the only thing I should say to them is, I don't care if you go with me, but go with someone.
Right.
That's not the person who printed this statement for you, because this is a horrible investment mix, and this is a horrible, or it's not even a plan. It's like they just bought a bunch of stuff and stuck it in an account, So thought some of these were kind of cool, and good things to kind of look at. One of the things they talk about is not all advisors are created equal, and that is very true. Even from
we
standpoint,
feel bad for those other guys,
right? But even from the standpoint of just experience, right? I mean, I have 20 years of experience in this business. I'm a much different person today than I was the 3rd year I was in this business. It's not to say that I wouldn't have taken care of you to the ability I could take care of you when I was in my 3rd year, but I am definitely a better advisor today than I was 17 years ago. Just something that simple. If you're 60 years old and you're about to retire, are you wanting to work with somebody who's just got the training wheels off the bike? Probably not. Not because they're a bad person, but they just don't have the amount of experience that you're going to rely on for one of the most important decisions you're ever going to make. And it makes me think of like banks, where just because there's an office in a strip mall, or just because there's a guy that sits in a bank that can talk to you about financial stuff, doesn't mean he has any experience, or she has any experience, or very much experience. So
if you look at the way some of these places plan for their growth, some of these businesses plan for their growth plan is to hire, 25 or 35 young people and put them through the grinder and see which ones in a high pressure selling situation, see which ones sell the most, in the first couple of years and get rid of all the rest of them.
Right.
Now, if that's the type of environment you want to enter into, where the emphasis is on sales and there's sales quotas and everyone has to make a certain number every year in order to be able to work there the next year, well, then I think you're asking for trouble for yourself.
Right.
You want to go into a place that has a culture of wanting to listen, of wanting to teach, and wanting to put together a program for you, and not a place that has a sales meeting every week.
Yep. Well, and one of the things that they talk about, the first thing they say is a mistake you can make is not to ask your friends for referrals. And I would take that a step further. I would not necessarily ask all my friends for referrals. I would look at the friends who are probably most emulating what I would like to see happen for me. Now, that doesn't mean the friend who's driving the BMW necessarily. They might be in debt to their eyeballs and have a terrible financial, or not even have a financial advisor. But if you have friends who are retired or retired over the last few years, they've probably been working with somebody for a while. It might be a great idea to ask them, who are they working with? How often do they meet with them? What do they like about that person? That type of thing. Don't ever just say, like, who do you work with? Can I call them? Like, find out why they work with them. Make your friends be accountable for why you should go see the person they're saying. Or maybe there's somebody that you've heard about yourself that you want to go see. So maybe you've been listening to ESPN 96.1 all this time and you think, man, this Jamie Westenbarger guy just sounds like a freaking genius. Or this Bart Steinler, even though he doesn't get to talk as much, definitely knows what he's talking about.
He probably listens more.
Go talk to your friends. Does anybody in your friend group work with an advisor you're considering? If they do, now not only do you have the reason you started to maybe think about that person in the first place, but now you have firsthand information from a friend of yours who's working with that advisor and can tell you, yeah, you know what? I really enjoy working with them. We do regular meetings. Their fees are reasonable. Whatever is important to you. That is the best place to start in trying to figure out who you're going to talk to.
Right. It says about, not inquiring about fees. And I find today most of the people I start working with inquire about fees. But, they'll say, like, if I'm coming in to see you, what's the charge for the first meeting? Mm-hmm. And, of course, in our case, there is no charge for the first meeting. But then during the first meeting, they say, well, how do you charge for your products and things like that? And they get a very straightforward answer.
Right.
Okay. If you're asking that question and the answer seems like muddy, unclear, or we'll get to that later, or that type of thing, you probably want to move on.
Well, and I would also dig not only inquire into the fees, but all the fees. So often we see people come in who say, well, I'm paying 1%. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, well, that might be what you're paying the advisor, but do you know what all your fees are? And they don't. They have no idea.
Right.
They don't know there's a management fee. They don't know there's a fee for the investment they own. They don't realize there's an annual fee, that there's trading costs. They don't know any of that stuff because it's never been explained to them, and they didn't know to ask. They asked what the fee was. The guy or gal said 1%, and they took them on face value and said, I'm paying 1%. Right. Many times they're not. We had a gentleman in here a couple weeks ago who, when we sat down and figured it all out, he was pushing close to 3. And he thought he was paying 1, it wasn't even close.
Yeah.
To 1.
Big difference.
Yeah. Big time. They talk about asking about fiduciary status. If you don't understand fiduciary, the gist of it is when somebody acts as a fiduciary, they are acting in your best interest. They are doing what is right for you, period. They also can, act, in a suitability standard, which is they're doing what's suitable for you, but maybe not necessarily always the best for you. So, for instance, if you went to buy a suit and the suit maker had one that was a little bit big on you, but they could cut you maybe a little bit better deal on it, and they made a lot more money by getting that suit off their rack, that would be suitable because they're selling you a suit that kind of fits you, so it works. And
You'll grow into it.
And it's blue, the color you needed, and it has 2 buttons, which is what you wanted, and all of that. But if you're working with a fiduciary suit maker, you're going to come in and they're going to say, you know what? your body type is such, I'm going to actually need to make you a suit, and I'll keep the price really low so my margins aren't going to be nearly as good on that. But at the end of the day, that's what you really need for what you're looking for.
And that fiduciary is going to ask you when you walk in and that suit he has on the rack is a little big. He's going to say, are you more likely to gain weight over the next couple of years or lose weight? Right. And if the answer is lose weight, he's not going to put you in that suit.
Right, exactly. And then the last one is not vetting credentials. I would not only say vetting them, but even finding out if they have them. We have talked on this show, ad nauseum about the fact that there are life insurance agents out there operating as if they are financial advisors. A life insurance license is not the proper licensing to help you retire. Make sure they have license, multiple of them preferably, that they've done hundreds of hours of studying, continuing education. If they have initials at the end of their name, what we call designations in our industry, what do they mean? What's the requirement to even get them? Some of them are awesome. Some of them are completely ridiculous and mean nothing. Know what your person is throwing on the end of their name, what it actually means to you. What does it do for you? And is it beneficial to you? And then also just understanding that just because somebody is something or isn't something doesn't mean anything. It can give you a baseline to look at potentially, but it doesn't necessarily mean if somebody's not a CFA, it doesn't make them a worse financial advisor just because they're not a CFA. If somebody is a CFA, although it means they have an amazing ability to analyze funds and data and things like that, it doesn't mean they're a good financial advisor. It means maybe they can pick really good investments, but we've talked about for years that picking investments is just one piece of the puzzle. So understand that, understand their team. What's the rest of the team's education and experience and background and designations? All of that is important.
I think you sit down with the person, you have a very broad conversation about the different things they can do for you, about the different suggestions that they have that can improve your situation going towards retirement, and you kind of judge it on the whole picture and get a feel for it. Plus, you ask around and about this person and what you see. But I think the biggest thing is you get down, you have a really in-depth conversation, and you'll have a good feeling that if you have the right person or not.
And I think the one question that you ask every single person you're thinking of working with before anything else, I would make it like the first question through the door before they really even know a lot about you. Mm-hmm. And I would simply say, describe your ideal client to me. Who is the person you work with the most? And they will describe that client to you. And if that client does not look like you, that is not your financial advisor. Right. Because you need someone who specializes in what you need. If you are a multimillionaire trying to establish multi-family trusts in real estate and charitable remainder and all of these, you need someone who does that all the time. If you're someone who is just starting out and wants to build up your portfolio, you need someone who does that all the time. If you're 60 years old and want to retire in the next 30 days and you want to know if you have enough money, you need that person who knows how to do that all the time. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about rising rents for millennials and the new breed of loans that will blow your mind and probably indicate financial Armageddon is right around the corner. Right here on the Keep Your Money Show.
It's never too late to plan for your future, and the Keeping Your Money Show can help. Our team of advisors can answer questions you may have about investing your money. Through Securities America, Inc., our advisors offer a diversified and comprehensive list of quality products and services. Call the Keeping Your Money Show at 1-888-98-MONEY or visit keepingyourmoney.com to schedule your free consultation.